Fucking hell, man. Am I supposed to stay in that lane?
Mama, where are these ducks?
Alright, welcome to the Hobart Commuter. Now, I was reading a book recently, which I'll come to in a minute, that was talking or touched upon the natural endpoint for the impact of machines on our lives. And it got me thinking about autonomous vehicles and cyclists. Specifically, as a cyclist, how will the advent of autonomous vehicles on the road impact the riding experience, or what kind of rider you will be? Now, at first thought, you might think the advent of autonomous vehicles could only be a good thing. Now, there's two reasons I say that. The first is that autonomous vehicles would be invariably predictable. They basically would follow the road rules to a T. It's what they would be in their programming. They wouldn't have any inattention, any problems with inattention. They wouldn't have any problems with stupidity or emotion. There wouldn't be any emotion, all of which probably contribute to the vast majority of accidents on the road. The other reason is that, like any machine that's going to come into the world, they would have all the responsibilities and none of the rights, which basically means they would be the road's whipping boy. Everyone would just be able to blame them for everything and they wouldn't be able to fight back, which is good for cyclists because currently we occupy the two lowest positions on that hierarchy, just above skateboarders. But having read this book recently, and the book has basically made me change my mind. Now, the book is The Road to Wigan Pier by George Orwell. And you might think, well, how can a book written in 1937 possibly have any relevance to what's happening in the world today? Well, Orwell was obviously remarkably prescient for his time. And yeah, so I'll come to what he's talking about in just a minute with regards to machines. So basically the book is two parts. The first part is Orwell looking at basically the poverty in Britain at the time, and he does so through the lens of the miners in the industrial north of England, namely Wigan. So he lays out this terrible poverty, and then the second half of the book he looks at the solution, what he considers the solution, which is socialism, and he makes an argument not for socialism. It seems pretty obviously the solution to him. He talks about why socialism isn't really accepted and some of the barriers towards acceptance by people. It's a remarkable book to read because obviously in 1937 there was a lot of different ideologies competing for ascendancy, namely fascism. And he thought socialism was a means of defeating that, but obviously the situation has changed quite a bit and history turned out a different way. But he also talks about mechanisation being tied up with socialism and why people resisted it. And in the course of that, he talks about the mechanical process, or the aim of the mechanical processes being to produce more and more effective machines and processes to the point at which nothing goes wrong anymore. So he asks us to consider what that does to human nature. So what is a human being like in a world in which nothing goes wrong? So he actually uses the phrase, a world where physical courage has been banished. And what he means by that is traits like physical courage, bravery, skill, compassion, all those kinds of traits that are really highly prized in the humans. They tend to come about in situations of adversity. He uses a wonderful analogy, and he's talking about, it could be applied today, he says that what use is courage and skill for the pilot, where his vehicle, he has no use for courage and skill, no more use for courage and skill than a baby in a perambulator. And that's exactly what an autonomous vehicle is. You're essentially a baby in a pram. Just gonna have to haul ass here a little bit. So let's take that back to cycling now. Basically, cycling is one of the few things that I do in my life that carries any real element of proper risk. Risk in the physical sense, really. So let's say that I get to a point where I'm riding with cars that are autonomous, that are perfectly safe. I'm in a very safe and soft environment. What does that do to my human character? What need do I have for courage and skill on the road? So I just thought I'd share that with you. I thought it's quite interesting to think about that world that is probably looked forward to by so many cyclists, but might just as well have a sting in the tail. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.